Prime.com to make a reservation. And we have a big party this afternoon, 5 to 7 o'clock at Raggio Mercantile Shop. And they'll have beer and Elijah Craig bourbon, and he'll be showcasing and highlighting some of the super cool stuff they have at the Raggio Mercantile Shop in Madison, 5 to 7 o'clock tonight, as they get ready for Father's Day. Ladies, come on by, too. We are the Out of Bounds Show. We welcome in Steve Robertson, genespage.com, 247 Sports. He joins us on the Farm Bureau Insurance guest line. So is this the biggest hire in the history of Mississippi State athletics?
You know, I think you can make that argument. You know, blessed with the gift of hindsight. You know, we would say maybe Ben Howland wasn't, but his resume at the time was outstanding. You know, he had 3 Final Fours and very accomplished coach, and but he was out of coaching. But what Zach Selman has done is gone out and hired a coach, a sitting head coach, Power 4 head coach, and lured them away from their school. You know, in that respect. I mean, and so it wasn't like Virginia was trying to get rid of Brian O'Connor. They tried very, very hard over the course of the last week to reach some type of agreement on the revenue sharing side and scholarship side, and so they made it very difficult. But Zach Selman pulled it off, and is to be commended.
When did you know? All right. When did Mississippi State know that they had won the battle from the back and forth on Virginia trying to keep him?
Well, it wasn't really official until Saturday, but when we got together last time, it was pretty much an understanding. It was about working through the language of the contract and things of that nature. And I had somebody tell me on Tuesday evening that they really felt like this was going to happen. Things are really trending in a very positive way, and A&M got involved on Wednesday. And that's what's, I wrote about that yesterday in the, now that it's over piece, but, this was not a scenario where State gets him by default. This is a situation where not only did State have to beat Virginia to get him, they had to kind of deal with A&M for about 12 hours, and so, I was told, I guess it was Wednesday, it all runs together after a while, but that Zach Selman had gone to Dr. Keenum and said, hey, here's what we need to do. Here's what the situation we're in. And that Keenum said, okay, go hire our coach. And then from that point forward, it was pretty much, an expectation. And, what a huge, huge development for Mississippi State fans. I mean, it's just, a lot of people have said, we're just not where we need to be or where we want to be. But these are the kinds of moves that kind of validate what Mississippi State people think about themselves.
Yeah, they've never done this. Cohen was a big hire, but it also came at a time where, kind of the legendary head coach was throwing a fit about who he wanted. So it was very messy, even though Cohen was super successful. And that was a total rebuild, whereas O'Connor's walking into a little bit different deal, and he can fill this thing up with portal transfers and so on. So totally different. What's the final compensation deal? Is it 1.7-ish with incentives, or did they go to $2 million with incentives? What did they land on?
Yeah, well, we haven't been given the financials just yet, and I suspect we will, between now and Thursday. I mean, that's just, it's one of those things where there's always a little something in there that, the university is always very careful with how they present things. So I don't know if we know the full financials until we get into Thursday, but we're working to get that information. But we were told from the beginning of this process that Dr. Mark Keenum was willing to give a top 10 salary and go as high as $2 million a year
right,
to get the right coach. And you hear a lot of that with this stuff, right? And you wonder, is it just chatter, right? Is it all just kind of propaganda to say, hey, we're going to do the best we can, and then you come up a little bit short and you say, well, this was the right guy, But for Mississippi State to go big game fishing the way they did, to make the financial commitment ahead of the search, as soon as we get ready to go and say, we're willing to go as high as $2 million, and then to see something like that take place, it's not very Mississippi State, tradition. It's just been like you hired Mike Leach right away from Washington State. And I remember us talking then, this is not a real Mississippi State thing to do. State typically gets the up and comer out there, but this is kind of in that same vein where there was a commitment made to go get the absolute best coach they could possibly get. And I don't care what else happens around the country. Nobody's going to make a better hire than this. A guy that's been to the College World Series, 7 times.
Yeah.
That's pretty remarkable. There's not many people in the country that have a resume that are anywhere comparable to what Brian O'Connor has.
All right, who's going to be the next pitching coach for Brian O'Connor?
I think we'll get some clarity on that probably today or tomorrow. I had somebody that spoke to O'Connor yesterday on campus and said, hey, I know there's a lot of reports out there, but I haven't hired a pitching coach yet. That may just be semantics, you know what I mean, just to kind of protect his pitching coach. We still expect Corey Muscara to be very much in the middle of that from Wake Forest. They played yesterday, and so these conversations happen while all that's going on. But I do know that Justin Parker, still engaged and was still involved yesterday in some baseball functions. So there's always that possibility. But I have no doubt that Brian O'Connor will make a good decision in that respect, and he'll get a great pitching coach. He was a great pitching coach himself.
But you feel like it's Muscara?
Yeah, I do. I'd be surprised if it wasn't.
Okay. What about what's the latest on? Have you heard anything on Ace Reese in the bidding war? I would think the hire of Brian O'Connor bodes well for Mississippi State. I don't know much about McMullen, but he's been with BOC for a long time. Have you heard anything about that? You said last week or the week before, and other people in the program have told me that his parents love it and he loves it at Mississippi State. Is there anything on Ace Reese to report?
Well, I'm still optimistic that all works itself out. I did have a chance to speak with his dad when we were down in Tallahassee, and I didn't push him for any information. I kind of joked with him. I said, hey, do I need to make you a plate or anything while I'm down here? Let you guys know you appreciate it. But no, I think it's going to work out. I think a lot of it is the fact that Ace is happy here. He's a kid from Canton, Texas. His family's gotten very involved with other baseball parents, and that's kind of a group within the group, right? I mean, that's a really good group of people that get really close and spend basically every weekend together. And I think Ace and his family really feel like they're part of the family here in many respects. But we'll see how things go. But I'm optimistic that things work out there.
All right, we've got another minute here with Steve Robertson, JeansPage.com. What about McPherson and Foster? You feel like that'll work out and they'll be back as Diamond Dogs?
Yeah, I think so. And, exit meetings, and it's kind of weird to have the new coach doing the exit meetings. So I guess it's kind of a one-on-one sit down. Those meetings are expected to start this morning. Matter of fact, I think they've already started, and they'll run through tomorrow. And of course, McPherson and Foster are a big part of that. And, those are guys that, Lamonis and Park went out and got, so the relationship was there. But, of course, Brian O'Connor's a guy that's got an incredible resume. He didn't have to introduce himself. And so I think those situations probably work out, too. And, we've got to be very competitive. And maybe this year, because there is transition, maybe you've got to be a little bit over-aggressive.
Yeah.
You overpay a little bit because you want to make sure Brian O'Connor has the bullets in the gun to get off to a great start.
Steve Robertson, JeansPage.com, 247 Sports. He's all over football recruiting and all the baseball transactions. Steve, we'll get you again later in the week. Thank you, man.
See you.
JeansPage.com, 247 Sports. Steve Robertson joined us on the Farm Bureau Insurance Guest Line. The Golden Moon Casino text line, we want to hear from you, is 601-885-3776. We've got a big party this afternoon at Raggio Mercantile Shop in Madison from 5 to 7. Have a little Elijah Craig bourbon and some Michelob Ultra, and you get to see all the cool stuff at Raggio Mercantile Shop in Madison, Mississippi. Hey, I get it. Losing's miserable. And especially when there's so much on the line. I mean, good seasons for Southern Miss and Ole Miss, but losing in that way, in that, bye run on your home field when you have a super regional lined up and very winnable super regionals is tough. So Ole Miss loses to Murray State. I don't know what was worse, UT Chattanooga or Murray State. But that was a tough one. Almost came back and won. Southern Miss loses to Miami, which is more respectable, 5-4. But both one-run games, 12-11, 5-4. And, man, Murray State almost gave it back to Ole Miss, but showed just enough resilience to get out of Oxford and Swayze with the win. And our text line, we've got some Ole Miss fans coming in hot as far as, where they are with Bianco. But I've been living this for 10, 12, 13 years, maybe longer. And he's the only coach that's been as long as I've been on. We're on, I think, 22 years, and Mike's been in Oxford for 25. And, this started shortly, I don't know, I guess maybe around 2010, give or take. Maybe 9, I don't know. But he's a survivor. He'll be back probably as long as he wants, barring something crazy, because they hit on the portal. Had a pretty good team. Didn't have quite the pitch. I mentioned Mississippi State didn't have the pitching. They didn't even have a Hunter Elliott. Pico was I think way more Saturday, right? And then the other two were way more fringe Sunday type starters. Ole Miss had an absolute dude in Hunter Elliott. And then, Riley Maddox and Mason Nichols were more Sunday or maybe a little bit another role, and they had to do what they had to do. Mississippi State totally missed on the portal and pitchers pretty much, but they got a couple of young guys in Foster and McPherson that fans and Brian O'Connor, I would think, and Mascara or whoever it is as the pitching coach want to keep. But when you look at Bianco, there's been some highs and some devastating losses. Again, the 3 super regionals, 09, UT Chattanooga, Murray State. You just got to have more pitching. You have to have more pitching. And Murray State just chopped the ball around the field. Eventually, got some. Well, they did hit some lasers. They had some missiles. They just weren't hitting it out like Ole Miss was, especially that 3-run bomb to really pull close to Murray State. But Ole Miss threw everybody. They threw Riley Maddox yesterday. They threw Mason Nichols. They threw Hunter Elliott. And, they were trying to get it done, obviously, with Duke right there and hosting a super regional and the clear path to I say a clear path. About as advantageous clear path as you could find to the super regional.
Certainly manageable.
Yeah. Manageable. Utermark was ridiculous. What they had was they either hit home runs or struck out for the most part. Murray State, they weren't really putting the ball in play. Murray State just couldn't throw strikes.
They live and die by the long ball.
I got to take that thing out. So, yeah. Yeah, no, they did. They lived in, they had guys that could, and Furnace.
Yeah.
And it was weird. Murray State was hitting the ball to the first base area early. And they were either choppers that the pitcher and the first baseman couldn't get to, or they got right past Will Furnace.
Yep. Wild Will.
Yeah, and Will,
he can hit a bomb.
He can hit a bomb. He's limited in a bunch of other areas, but he can definitely hit a bomb.
Yeah.
So, what do we have here from Sun Devil Macy? Sun Devils crapped out against UC Irvine and Eaters, who can ball, along with an amazing mascot. You know, it's funny. The first time I went to the College World Series in 2007, UC Irvine, the Anteaters were in it. And we went down there to that, local district place where Mississippi State and Ole Miss fans have been. And we went to one of the craft beer bars, and we sat by a bunch of UC Irvine Anteater fans. And we had a large time that first afternoon. UC Irvine they eventually lost to UCLA. So, but Orloff was another guy that was rumored to be, maybe not in the mix, but just a guy that people were throwing out as far as the head coach. But Mississippi State landed a top 3 baseball coach in the country.
How about it?
Unreal.
It is. I did not think that the administration would be able to pull it off.
Well, Zach Selman is not dumb.
No.
He knew he needed this.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
after the way that Levy's, you don't know what's going to happen here with Levy, right? You're going into year 2. They're pretty anxious up there. I guess they're maybe cautiously optimistic. But he would have been a much better spot if you'd at least won 4 or 5 games in football with his new football hire. And so, and look, I don't think the administration on the athletic side wanted to spend this much money on baseball.
Sure.
They want to win in football, and I understand why. I do. But I think Dr. Keenum and the leadership on the other side of campus is looking at this like, hey, we got to have some juice. And there's been way too much turnover. 4 athletic directors, 5 head football coaches, lots of head baseball coaches, even though you've had success. Need to do something here that actually works for a while with the grown-up that you don't have to develop or wait on or see if they can do it. The Levy thing is a total experiment. Okay? I mean, he had 2 years of offensive coordinator under his belt at Oklahoma, and you did it at a time where Leach had died, Arnett had not worked, and that's what you decided to do over guys that had run it, Brett Bielema, Barry Odom, John Summerall, among others. There was one other guy that I meant, not even Manny Diaz. There was one other sitting head coach that wanted the job. But the bottom line is Mississippi State people are walking on water because they have a guy who you don't have to wait on him. He's been to 9 Super Regionals, 7 College World Series, won a title, played for another one. He knows what to do, where to go, and how to do it, and actually has money now. Virginia cut off or never gave him the funding when we moved to the NIL portal era. Brian O'Connor was still able to punch his ticket to the College World Series twice within the portal era, but once, a couple more years later without any money, you just couldn't do it. Boy, they've crushed their athletic department. Rocco Mendenhall, gone. Hell of a football coach. You should have looked at him, too. Tony Bennett, national championship men's basketball coach, gone from Virginia. Brian O'Connor, national champion in baseball, gone.
Wow.
But they're going to be good at lacrosse.
Heck yeah.
We are the Out of Bounds Show. It's National Egg Day.
Right.
Enjoy an egg and honey butter chicken biscuit at Burgers Blues Barbecue in Madison. Mike Detillier next. Yeah, I know that Ole Miss and Southern Miss, neither one of them threw their ace game one. We talked about that last week. You know where I was, and I understand running the numbers on both sides, but not throwing Hunter Elliott and JB Middleton, and then you're playing catch up. And then it lined up again for them, throughout. I say lined up. You're still surviving and trying to get through. So we'll, but not throwing Hunter Elliott and JB Middleton game one is tough. Mississippi State didn't throw Pico, but won. Right? But then they got beat, and Florida State was, the better team, better roster, and so on. My gosh, their frontline pitching was insane, and they had a couple of dudes in their lineup that could absolutely rake. We are the Out of Bounds Show, 105.9 The Zone, ESPN. We're brought to you by Grit Training Facility on Lakeland Drive. And it's newly renovated. It was the courthouse for years. It's right there, Ergon, Mirror Lake. Grit Training Facility, brand new batting cages, indoor pitching mounds, indoor turf, outdoor turf, and, of course, gym memberships. Thousands and thousands of square feet to work out, and offering all kinds of specialized classes, too. You want to tour it today. Grit Training Facility on Lakeland Drive in Flowood. Grit, grit, grit. Also, the show is brought to you by Sound and Communications. If you need a video wall for your business, lobby, hospital, university, or school, that is powered by Sound and Communications. SoundcomAV.com. We want to welcome in Mike Detillier, WWL Radio TV New Orleans. He joins us on the Farm Bureau Insurance guest line. Mike D., how far away are we from the Manning Passing Academy?
A couple weeks. We about 2 weeks from the Louisiana line camp, and then there's a week in between, and then Manning Passing Academy.
Okay. So who out of all the Mannings, which is Peyton the lead dog, or I know Archie's the godfather and the grandfather and all that. Or who does the most coaching and leading the way? Peyton, Eli, someone else? How does that work, Mike D?
Peyton and Eli, they hands-on with everything. I'm going to be honest with you. Both of them at the same level to go from station to station. You got, a couple thousand kids, so they don't just stay at one spot. They go from one station to another station to work with a group of kids. And, a lot of times, too, when they're there, they're working with the counselor, the starting college quarterback. They're working with them also. So it's hands-on with both Peyton and Eli becoming the lead dogs for both of it. Peyton probably a little bit more vocal with everything and doing a lot of things sort of behind the scenes when there's nothing happening maybe on the field, but, him taking over a lot of film work and a lot of talking to the counselors, sort of one-on-one.
Can you imagine being 11 or 12 years old and you're sitting there in a drill and you've got a college quarterback like Nussmeier or Jackson Dart or somebody like that, Quinn Ewers, and then you've also got Peyton or Eli happen to be in that area and in that drill? I mean, how amazing would that – how cool is that, Mike D., or however old these guys are?
That's pretty cool. It's pretty cool to see. And then last year, we got to see it. And, from time to time, there are other people there. But, last year, Bill Belichick walking around station to station, talking to the college quarterback and also helping with, the 14, 15-year-old young man that's there. That to me is really stunning to watch. That, and the kids, they're there just for fun. But, there has to be some moment of intimidation, too, to be around there.
Yeah.
To see that happen. But I think for me, watching is to see the college starting quarterback. I think he's a little bit more under the gun because he sort of senses, okay, one of the Mannings are there or Belichick is there watching him. We saw it last year quite a bit with Jalen Milroe. And I'd always go walk because Milroe sort of was in one area quite a bit. And so I would go there in the morning because that's where he was. And he would always throw. And, he always had either Peyton or Eli go check on him. And they working with him. Archie was always there, he talking to him. And every morning, Belichick.
Wow.
Every morning, Belichick was there. I'd stand by the gate, and a couple times, I think it was finally the Saturday, he was like, man, we got to stop meeting like this, because I was right by the door, the little gate to get in. And so he was there with Matt Patricia.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Former.
He was there with Patricia. So, yeah, it was. It's really something to see how this sort of little sleepy town in Louisiana has become the mecca for off-season workouts. When you think they had over 700 offensive defensive linemen for Louisiana Line Camp with Pete Jenkins.
Unreal.
And they had 13 NFL coaches there, along with Kevin Mawai, the Pro Football Hall of Famer, and Henry Thomas. He one of the all-time great defensive linemen at LSU. Working with all these young kids, and then 1 week passes, and you got the Manning Passing Academy, where you have 45 starting quarterbacks in college football, there to sort of mentor and be the counselors. And last year was unusual because that was Bill Belichick.
Crazy. Yeah.
At that time, unemployed. Yeah.
Before North Carolina. Damn, Mike, yeah. I bet that's crazy. Did you get to visit with Belichick?
Yeah, just sort of hang out and just watch him throw. And like I said, I would go watch Milroe every morning because he threw in a certain spot every morning. His group was in a certain spot, so I went watch him throw the ball. And it was interesting to watch him sling it. He was because again, there's no pass rush and everything else, and the kids are sort of in awe because for them they'll know a college quarterback every bit as well as they would a pro quarterback.
Good point.
Very much so. And then you had little Arch there. I remember when he was kind of just hanging around. He would go shag balls, for one of the counselors, and then he became a counselor as a high school player, and then last year he became a full-time counselor. And he just sort of walked in because we have a little media session every Friday of the Manning camp for about an hour. He just sort of walked in, go sit down, and you get to go talk to him. And he was laughing. For me, because he's heard me tell the story that, growing up, Arch, he was an idol of mine. And, watching him play at Ole Miss and everything else. And Archie tells me, stop saying that. You're getting too old to do that.
That's so good.
He said, Mike, that hair is way too white for you to be saying, no, come on. And, and so, little Arch, he sort of picked all that up. He's because Arch got a good sense of humor to him. He really does. And he's used to the media barrage that he gets. And, last year we, kind of in a row, because that's how I hit it, was Arch. And then Carson Beck was there, right alongside of him. He was at Georgia at that time, now at Miami. And then Garrett Nussmeier. They were almost like 1, 2, 3 together. And I caught the 3 at one time. I had to wait because I wanted to talk to Will Howard, the quarterback from Ohio State. And so I had my cameraman wait. We talked to Will Howard. I caught Will Howard and Gabriel Dillon from Oregon. They were together. They were at the same corner together.
Whoa. All right, so for our listeners, Austin Simmons from Ole Miss, Blake Shapen from Mississippi State will be there. There have been many others, Dart, and, over the years. I remember having Mike D on, 2013, 2014, and Mike D sat down with a young Dak Prescott before he became a star in 2014, leading Mississippi State to number 1. But Mike knew about him because he's up from Halton in the Shreveport area, and Mike knew that Mullen got him early and committed him as a quarterback, and Les came in late but wanted him as a tight end. But the rest is history, and Mike sat down with him, and you interviewed him, I think, going into the year. He drove MSU to number 1. Isn't that right, Mike?
Yeah. He actually came 3 years in a row.
Okay.
And so I caught him each year. He was always funny. And, he was like, man, you were coming like a maitre d' over here. I see you all the time. So, but first time I saw him, Archie introduced me to him because I'm on the golf cart with Archie. And Archie was like, you've met Dak. And I said, really? I'm just sort of a hello, that's about it. And so we drove up, just started talking, and, he sort of told a little story about everything, but he was built like a fullback. Mm-hmm. And the next year he shows up. I mean, he's lean and mean. I mean, he had lost a lot of weight, and he looked different. So when we got him in the Colonel Club to interview, we started talking about, how he had lost some weight and trained a little bit different. And he still was built, but, he wasn't built like, he was going to run the ball. He was built he looked more like the quarterback. So, yeah, he was funny, and he was great with everything. And just a super personable guy, never turned down the interview, would stay late. If somebody caught him right at the end, he would never, say, I can't do it. He was really good. The other guy that did that too, and I'll give him full credit, Sam Darnold.
Nice.
Sam Darnold was there. I caught Sam right at the end, and they sort of blew the whistle. You got to stop your interviews, and he was like, "Keep going." He said, "I'll do it with you until, they force me out."
Wow.
And he was like, "Man, these are the nicest people in the world here." And I'm like, "What?" He was like, "Man, I love to come down here. Nicest people in the world. The food's great." He said, "I'm gonna put on about 8 or 10 pounds coming here," but it was hot that year. Man, humidity was bad.
I bet it was.
And he was like, "Man, I'd have to get used to this, the humidity part of things." But you could tell he was he really enjoyed his time there. The Andrew Luck was the other guy.
Oh.
Andrew Luck comes there, and he's like another Manning, because he had so many connections to the Manning Passing Academy and to the Mannings. His dad played on the same Houston Oilers football team as Archie, and they all knew one another extremely well. And he is standing by himself for a while. He stands up because not a lot of people will go and interview him. So by the time I walk in, I grab my cameraman. I see him stand up, and there are people getting interviews around him. And I told him, no, that's the guy. My cameraman looks at me and said, "Are you sure?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm sure." He said, "Man, I ain't never heard of Andrew Luck." I said, "You will." So we went interview Andrew Luck, and the other guy that happened the exact same way. And Carter tells me that even today, he stood up and sat down for about a half an hour and never got interviewed. Patrick Mahomes.
Oh, my goodness.
Patrick Mahomes. LSU had just tattooed Texas Tech in a bowl game, and he was sort of just sitting there kind of antsy, looking at his cell phone. And I told my cameraman, I said, "Carter, after we finish this interview, we're going to get Patrick Mahomes." And he looked at me with his crazy look. Man, he said, "That's the guy LSU beat the crap out of?" I'm like, "Yeah." He said, "He's that good?" I said, "Yeah, I think he's that good." We walked up to him, and he was, he had that little kind of squeaky voice. And I was like, "You have a minute for an interview?" "Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir." Sat right back down, and we started talking. And I think he told me the next day he gave one more interview.
Wow.
Think about that today. Think about that today. He, the Joe Burrow one was distinctive because Joe walks in, he has no idea where he's got to sit. And he's walking around, and, okay, this is my chance here. Because I know they got a ton of people looking to interview Joe. And he's walking, and he's looking because their names are on the wall. And I told Carter, "Hey," I said, "set up the interview. Get your camera ready." And he's like, what you going to do? Because he's always was kind of scared going there with me. Thought I'd get him in trouble. And I told him, any trouble I get him in, I can get him out. So I told him, I said, "Joe," and he looked this way. He said, "Boss, where I got to sit?" I said, "Right here." And I was actually sitting in the seat Joe was supposed to sit in. But he was sort of coming in a little bit late. And I grabbed him, and we sat down. And as soon as he sat down, he said, "I'm ready." And I was able to catch him. First interview. And that's the first time he made that comment, "We're going to average over 40 points a game this year." And I told him, what basketball game's breaking out?
I love it.
And he kind of gave me half a smirk like he normally would. And he was like, "No, I'm not kidding you. I'm not kidding you." He's like, "No, boss, I'm telling you. We're going to average over 40 points a game with the offense we got put together and that sort of thing." And
best trio in the history of college football. Burrow, Chase, and Jefferson. I just, so good grief.
The Sunday, I'm hanging out with his dad, me and Mr. Jimmy, and he walks off the field for the final practice, and he tells me, "I'm the best guy out there." But you got to know Joe. He meant it. It's not that he was arrogant, but he had that kind of role of confidence about him that no matter what, he was going to be the guy. And he sort of took over. I mean, when he walked in that huddle, them kids, they weren't cutting up no more. I mean, he walked in, he was the man. And this is before that season. But he sort of took over. And the other guy I saw do a similar deal with Jaden Daniels. Jaden got inundated the year he comes to Manning. right before the big season that he pieced together and wins the Heisman Trophy. And I walked up to him and I'm like, hey, I need to grab an interview. And he was like, he said, Coach, I'll give you an interview. I said, okay, just don't leave now. So I go interview Joe Milton. He's at Tennessee at the time. And Joe cut up the entire time. Joe did an interview with sunglasses on. I mean, he's telling me, no, I didn't. I said, you know, how it is to lose, you know, 3 receivers to the NFL. Man, we ain't lost no receivers to the NFL. Joe was messing with me. And he messed with me the entire interview because he knew that, you know, my mind was more settled on what was happening to Jaden. And, you know, so Joe was quite the character that day. And he did tell me, hey, tonight I'm going to put on a show for you. I was like, okay, cool. And he did. He threw a ball flat-footed 80 yards.
Damn.
We sitting in the corner of the end zone doing a remote for WWL. He knew exactly where I was. And he launched one flat-footed. And the ball bounced, and it literally bounced to the table where we're at. We were at the end of the end zone situation, where the end zone was. We were at the end, and he flipped one that far. The only guy I've ever seen throw a ball like that was
Jamarcus? Oh.
No, Jamarcus would throw it if he had to, because, man, Jamarcus, he could do anything when he wanted to. Anthony Richardson did it at Florida the year before. But the guy there that I've never seen a guy with velocity on a football like he could throw it was Josh Allen.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
We sitting in a golf cart. It was me, Archie, and Little Arch. I brought my cameraman, and I told him, just be careful. And sure enough, Josh Allen comes up to throw. And Archie's like, tell your cameraman, be careful. Because they had just had a little tropical storm pass, and he's throwing against the wind. And he has this bright, you know, kind of orange-black shirt of Wyoming. And he launched one toward the sidelines. Now, we parked like 5 yards off the sideline marker. And he launched one. It was 75, 80 yards.
Wow. Mike, we'll continue on next week. We appreciate you. Great stories. Take care. Mike Detillier, WWL Radio TV New Orleans on Manning Passing Academy Stories. Powered by your next video wall, which needs to be done by Sound and Communications.
Say, kids, what time is it?
It's 9 a.m., and this ain't no K show. It's the Out of Bounds Show with Bo Bounds.
All aboard!
As Mississippi's #1 morning show rolls on the Zone 105.9 and online at thezone1059.com.
Oh, man. Good morning. Welcome in. We are the Out of Bounds Show, 105.9 The Zone, ESPN. Woo! We are brought to you by our friends at Cover Source Solutions. Do you need AC, HVAC, and plumbing? Help, repair, new, work on existing? Cover Source Solutions. They're local in Brandon and Ridgeland. They're your HVAC go-to. Cover Source Solutions in Brandon and Ridgeland for air conditioning, HVAC, plumbing. Air conditioning is important. I like being cool when I'm in my house or studio. So, Cover Source Solutions. Boom. Locally owned, Mississippi grown. Family-owned business rooted in central Mississippi with offices in Brandon and Ridgeland. Proud to serve their neighbors with fast, honest HVAC and plumbing service. Cover Source Solutions. From homes to office buildings. Cover Source Solutions. Doesn't Mike Detillier tell the best stories?
Incredible. I don't know if it's his voice. I mean, it's definitely a culmination of a few things here. It's his voice and the knowledge, obviously.
Yeah.
But that twang, man, it's just, it helps.
It does. When your last name's Detillier.
Yeah, I mean.
And you're from the Bayou.
Right.
And you're awesome. Actually, let me pull up some Mike D. We'll have some fun with it. He's just so good.
Big, tall drink of water quarterback can really hum it downfield.
I mean.
Mike Detillier, WWL Radio TV New Orleans. The guy's awesome.
It ain't bragging if you can back it up.
I know it.
It really is awesome.
Let's see if,
He's the big wolf in the dog.
Oh.
How old is Detillier, you think?
Mike D?
Yeah.
Mid-60s?
Yeah. Still moving and grooving.
Man, that guy is not slowing down. I don't know how many shows he does a year.
Oh, my gosh.
So he does Afternoon Drive on WWL with A-Bear. He does Saints pregame and postgame.
Yes.
I know I've seen him pregame several times walking in the Dome because one time he took a picture with Wilkes. They set up right outside on the Poydras side.
Yeah.
And then let's see. He does LSU.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking, how many, let's start here. How many a week? I mean, he's got to be hitting 20.
And then he does interviews like ours. The man never sleeps.
Oh, I didn't even think about like hits like ours. I wouldn't even include in that.
And people ask him to be on NFL shows all around the country. He was part of the Titans doing something for years, but I can't remember exactly what that was. But yeah, the guys interviewed Patrick Mahomes, Bill Parcells, Bill Belichick, Peyton Manning.
Oh my gosh.
The all the greats, all the names that have been through either Super Bowls, national championships, Manning Passing Academy, and so on.
Chat GPT.
Talk to me.
Oh, it's just incredible. Ask it just simple. How many shows is Mike Detillier a part of during the year? And it knows Mike.
Okay.
All right. Like you said, he's with A-Bear. Obviously, Monday to Thursday, 4 to 6.
Which he's a saint, no pun intended, to do a show with A-Bear.
Yeah. Second Guess is another show he's on. It's post-game after the New Orleans Saints game.
Okay.
Obviously, providing real-time analysis and fan interaction.
Yeah.
Sports on the Bayou, live every Thursday, 4 p.m. to 7 p.m.
Okay, that may be a TV show.
Yeah.
I think that's TV.
That is. Oh, and it's over there in the Treasure Chest Casino out there in Kenner.
Okay.
LSU Sports Zone podcast.
Because they're at the Silver Slipper every Monday.
That's right.
In Mississippi.
Right.
Okay.
He also
Go ahead.
does the Saints News Network. I mean, he's big in the contributions for that, and NFL draft coverage.
Sure.
Heat. I mean,
The guy's a machine in his mid-60s.
The estimate, approximately 300 to 350 shows a year.
That sounds right.
Sounds about right.
Yeah.
That was a pretty good estimate.
Yeah, and can you imagine what his game day is on New Orleans Saints game day? So
A schedule?
Wilkes and I've run into him going into a Saints game. They start at like
They're up.
9 a.m. in the morning.
Yeah, absolutely.
And because now the thing to do is to create content. Some of it's good, some of it's not.
Right.
But these like Alabama Crimson Tide football pregame is like 19 hours.
Yeah.
So Detillier and them are set up, I don't know, by 8 or 9. They fire off on WWL on a noon. Saints usually play at noon, but when Breeze was there, they had 3:15 Sunday Night Football on Monday because they were winning with Breeze and Peyton. But for most of our lives, the Saints have played in the first early morning window. We call it the Tito's Vodka Bloody Mary window of noon. Wilkes and I had field passes this past year, and so we were one of the first ones in the dome. That place is freezing.
Oh, it's so cold
in the morning
early,
before you get 65,000 people and everybody's blood temp and so on and breathing on each other and firing up all the concession stands and the nachos and the hot dogs and the burgers and the jambalaya and everything that you can get in the Superdome. We were lucky that we got some field passes, so we got there early. And you walk in, you can hang meat in there.
I swear.
It's kind of like when Mississippi State played La Lafayette there for an 11 a.m. kick when Joe Moorhead was there. And we walked in the dome, and my first thought was, oh, blank. Because I knew the girls were going to be cold. And Wendy and Ella Hall were cold.
Yeah,
and there wasn't anybody you're not going to fill up a ULL Mississippi State game, MSU Tulane, Ole Miss Tulane game. There's going to be 20,000 people there, mostly Mississippi State or Ole Miss.
Right.
And that booger gets cold.
Man, it is freezing. I bring a jacket every Saints game.
Yeah, I had a pullover. Wilkes is younger. He went with the T-shirt. But
blood's pumping more.
And we were able to get into that VIP underneath the stadium.
I love it. It's the best.
It's beautiful.
It's so dope.
It's beautiful.
Hey,
I've been in some cool spots. That one's nice.
That's one of them ones you act like you know what you're doing, you'll be all right.
I can't believe what they serve food-wise in that under this where you walk out in the tunnel on the field level in the VIP.
It's nuts.
I cannot believe full breakfast, then they flip it into lunch. They're making stuff there.
Yes, on
They've
site.
got cast iron skillets and stuff where they're making all kinds of different things. It's really nice. Full bar. Of course, we're in New Orleans.
Right.
Of course.
Yeah.
I mean, if they get up in the morning, you're gonna have right.
Oh, if you're not a full bar, what are you in New Orleans? Yeah, obsolete.
Right.
Yeah.
You're not open. Nah. Yeah. I meant to ask Mike D about Fiorella's. That's where Joseph Stodgel and I ate when I went down to Hogs for the Cause. It's on the UNO lakefront. It says where good food is our family tradition. It is a total joint. It looks like it's going to fall apart. Fall over. And it was one of the best shrimp po' boys I've ever had. And the muffaletta was insane. Been there forever. It had a picture of the 1970, Archie was in it. I think it was 1972 Saints or something like that. 3 Saints. And it wasn't many of them. And they were on Tulane's field. I think this is right before the dome, was built. And they played on Tulane's field somewhere in New Orleans. God knows where that was. Looked like a cow pasture. But anyway, Josh Raggio coming up next. We're going to have a big party at Raggio Mercantile Shop in Madison. Today from 5 to 7. Raggio Mercantile Shop in Madison. Elijah Craig bourbon tasting. And 5 to 7. If you want to get there at 4, that's fine. 4:30. But 5 to 7, Elijah Craig bourbon tasting and some ice cold Michelob Ultras, and you can see everything that Raggio Mercantile Shop has for the summer and for Father's Day. That's Raggio Mercantile Shop in Madison. We'll have Josh on coming up next, and then Mandy will join us in studio from Grit Training Facility in Flowood. Excited about that too. All right. Good morning. Welcome in. We are the Out of Bounds Show. Mike Detillier telling great stories. Manning Passing Academy. Interviewing Patrick Mahomes, Kirk Cousins, Dak Prescott before Dak led Mississippi State to number 1. Corral, Chad Kelly, Fitzgerald, Dart, Chapin have all been down there. Austin Simmons and Chapin will be down there this year. I don't know if Crum and Hawk will make it. And Ole Miss has added some other quarterbacks. I don't know if they cut that off at some point or Milroe's been down there. You name it. Just about everybody to the Manning Passing Academy in Thibodaux, Louisiana. Home of, I think, Nicholls State. Do I have that right? I think that. Yeah. That's what I thought. Because Mike has worked with Thibodaux Regional Medical Center, I think, for years. Mike Detillier, by the way. If you missed any of that, it'll be on Spotify, Apple Podcast within the hour, and you can listen to it on Spotify or Apple Podcast. Search Out of Bounds with Bo Bounds. Do we have Raggio? All right, Josh Raggio Mercantile Shop, joining us on the Out of Bounds Show, 105.9 The Zone, ESPN. How excited are you that you get to hang out with me today?
Dude, I'm shredding Red Bulls right now.
I knew it.
Getting ready.
I knew it. I mean, are we going to have like confetti and stuff when I walk in? How is this going to work?
Yeah.
Oh, strobe light.
Well, the limo will pick you up around 4-ish.
Okay.
We'll roll the carpet out about 4:05.
Love that.
Yeah, we'll have a party for you.
Dude.
Nice welcome.
I think as awesome as your Raggio Mercantile Shop is in Madison, I think that you need to strongly consider a strobe light. Don't you?
Yeah. Where am I going to put it?
I don't know. Ann knows. Women know how to do that. So I think Ann could figure it out. And you could have a strobe light in one of the corners, and you could have like strobe light Thursday. You don't have to run it all the time, but you could have like strobe light Friday or something at Raggio Mercantile Shop. How do you feel about this? Am I scratching around something cool?
Yeah, I'm in. As long as let's get your guys involved. Let's get Elijah Craig involved and some others, and we'll just have
a big party.
Have a party. Yeah, every week.
Okay. Josh Raggio, celebrity duck call maker, and also owner of Raggio Mercantile Shop in Madison. We're doing a party there today, 5 to 7. And Raggio will have award-winning Elijah Craig bourbon and maybe some ice-cold Michelob Ultras. And let's talk about what all we'll be previewing at your beautiful shop.
Well, we got obviously with Father's Day coming up. We got new sunglasses.
Ooh, love that.
Yeah. We've got new mixers. We've got new leather products. New for you guys that carry a briefcase every day or legal pads. We got new journals and new pens. I'm actually making some duck calls in case anybody wants a duck call. Man, I don't know. We got a full store right now. I'm pretty excited about it.
What did you post yesterday, the day before? That leather good looked awesome on Instagram.
Yeah, that's one of Jim Turcotte he lives in Madison. He's one of our handmade guys, craftsmen. He got a hold of a piece of ostrich, and so he made a dot kit and a sunglass case that sells as a set that I wasn't there yesterday. I don't know if it's going to be there today or not. If it is, It's a one of one, but it should go pretty quick. And then we have another piece that I'm not going to post that you're going to have to see. You're going to have to come to the store to see what it is that he made. We'll just say that it goes well with Elijah Craig or a bottle of wine or something like that. How about that teaser?
Ooh, I love that. I love a teaser, especially on radio. All right, Josh Raggio Mercantile Shop. We'll be there this afternoon around 4:30. The Elijah Craig tasting starts at 5 to 7, Raggio Mercantile Shop in Madison. He mentioned he's got sunglasses, leather goods, cigars. Do you still have turtle boxes?
I think we ran out yesterday, but the new Rangers will be in the next week or so.
Okay.
The small ones. That's what everybody's calling. That's what everybody wants. They're coming. They should be here soon.
Okay, so as soon as they are, you'll let us know. He's got duck calls, all kinds of fun stuff, barware at Raggio Mercantile Shop in Madison. How excited are you that you made I know you and I talked for over a year, but almost two, about what you wanted to do, your vision for where the shop is going. You know people all over the country. You've done duck calls for Major League Baseball players and managers and NFL and country music singers, but also for local people who love to duck hunt. How fired up are you that you did pull the trigger and make the move to Madison?
But it was probably the best thing I ever did as far as, business and, personally, I enjoy, I love Raymond. I love my, my old hometown, but man, I enjoy riding over there, getting to know the folks over there. It's just been you just never know what life holds for you. And that's one that was exciting when it started to come to fruition. We started talking about it. And then now, since November, how many months 8 months or so, it's just been a blast. And, the folks have supported it. Obviously we haven't reached everybody. We'd love to let everybody know we're there. But, the greatest compliment I get is when they walk in, they say, man, I feel like I just walked into Montana or Wyoming or somewhere like that. It just has that feel that nothing else has, in my opinion, in our area. And that's what we tried to create, and I think we've done a good job at it. And the response has been amazing. So keep getting the word out.
I sent your pictures to our Elijah Craig guys in Birmingham and Atlanta, and they went crazy over your shop. So that's more proof that what you and Ann and your team did resonates, because it didn't take 10 seconds for them to text me back and say, man, that shop is awesome. It kicks ass and looks great. And y'all did a great job. So we'll be there this afternoon. It's open to the public.
Yeah.
Raggio Mercantile Shop. Now, look, if you can't make it 5 to 7, you got baseball practice. Raggio's great if you're there at 3 or 4 in the afternoon, or noon, or 1 or 2. But we'll have a little Elijah Craig tasting and a little cold beer and some other, non-alcoholic stuff from 5 to 7, previewing everything at Raggio Mercantile Shop. Jay Meadows, do you have something to say?
Yeah, I was just making sure. I didn't know if Josh maybe wanted me to come sing at the event. I can appear shirtless, whatever he wants.
Raggio, what do you think about Jackson singing and going shirtless to your event today?
I was asking who was going to sign autographs. Is it you or Jackson? Then we got to figure out who's doing the singing, and that's when the strobe light comes in. That's from 8 to 10 tonight, I guess.
Nice.
8 to 10.
Something for the ladies.
We'll grab Terry Powell, and he can grab his guitar and do an acoustic set, and then we'll get the confetti and strobe light going, and Jackson Meadows will be shirtless. Boom. For the last part of the party.
That's how you win business.
How does every conversation we have somehow end up going this direction?
I don't know. It's just part of what we do. And you don't ever know when this show's going to go off the rails and what the hell's going on. But I'm excited for. Hey, follow. Look, they crush it. He's also an amazing photographer. So the pics that Raggio Mercantile Shop, the pics that they post on Instagram and Facebook, plus Raggio's doing video, are awesome. So check them out today. See if you want the dop kit, the sunglasses, the leather goods, and so on, the cigars, the duck calls, and come see us this afternoon from 5 to 7. If you can't make it then, just come in earlier. Raggio, I'll see you later. Thank you, buddy.
All right. See you.
All right, fire up. What's the thing called, the smoke thing, when football players run out? The fog thing? Yeah, I want that when I walk in, and confetti today. So we got to work on, and the strobe light. We're live in the Bank Plus studio. Mandy from Grit Training Facility should be here, and she'll be joining us in studio. Good morning. Welcome into the show. Well, good morning. Welcome into the Out of Bounds Show. ESPN 105.9 The Zone, brought to you by Grit Training Facility, Lakeland Drive, Flowood. We had an interesting conversation about Jackson Meadows' Christmas card list. 38 people on it, 36 females, 3 ex-girlfriends, and some moms from high school. And whether or not he's going to be able to pull that off once again this year, now that he's got a live-in girlfriend. And this is assuming that they're still together in November, which, I mean, we hope that they are. But, how's that going to look? How's it going to work? Jackson dropped that on us a couple of months ago, and he goes to see Santa Claus with his dog and takes Christmas pictures, and then he sends them out.
Yeah, buddy.
I can't believe you do that.
Handwritten note with it.
Because that takes like a little bit of...
Oh, it takes a lot.
You do a handwritten note?
Yeah, every single one of them. My mother told me that, man, there's no way, a handwritten note is the way to go.
Okay.
You write a handwritten note,
you're right.
It means a lot.
I mean, when I do it, it does go a long way.
It goes a long way. Had to write a couple of them.
Okay. Let's welcome in Mandy Lynskey, manager. Is that fair?
Operator.
Owner,
yeah.
operator
yeah.
Of Grit Training Facility on Lakeland Drive in Flowood. And she just met the group here. This is her first time in studio. Welcome to the Out of Bounds studio. How you doing?
Having me. I'm great. Great.
You're what do you think about, do you do a Christmas card?
I used to.
Okay.
And now life's too busy. It's like a social media, here we are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We used to do it when my kids were,
right,
little, and then Wendy was like, I'm not dealing with that anymore. Yeah, you kind of move on, different stage and phase of life. But what do you think about Jackson's Christmas card list being 95% female?
Well, I was, questioning him earlier about whether this was the roster or not.
I mean, it's a fair question. I think she wants to be on the Christmas list.
All right, it's official. Mandy with Grit Training just made the Christmas card list.
Done.
It's because I'm between the ages of the girlfriends and the mom.
How do you know that?
I think she's pretty spot on.
I'm guessing
I think
here.
you're right on the head of it. Yeah, it's well
and
done.
Mandy's putting us to shame because it looks like she works out 7 days a week.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to ask her if she needed any tips or anything.
Yeah, that would be great. If you got in a workout class with Mandy, she would run circles around you.
Around me. It would be bad.
How long have you been? No, first of all, where are you from?
I'm from South Jackson.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Like, yeah, same.
That's
like
right.
that. That's good stuff.
And how long have you been with Grit Training Facility?
So I have been there since the beginning. So we've been open for 4 years.
4 years.
And I actually was a member of University Wellness Center and the courthouse before all of it took place. Yeah.
See, I grew up as a member of the courthouse, and as a kid, I'd get dropped off there and just stay all day. Yes. And it was awesome.
Yes.
I mean, pool, racquetball, weight room, everything else that was going on. There was just a ton of stuff going on. And I'm glad that y'all have revitalized it, renovated it, rebooted it. And for our listeners, Grit on Lakeland Drive in Flowood, it's right there, Ergon Mirror Lake area, if you're trying to figure that out. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't far from Belhaven, which is where I grew up. And it was less than 10 minutes to get down Lakeland Drive. But now they're doing all sorts of fun things. So let's walk through. First, tell everybody about all the renovations to Grit Fitness and Training.
Yes, so I welcomed new partners about 1.5 years ago, and they are architects. And I guess probably one of the most commonly known sports facilities they've done is the New Dude. And so they kind of brought their eye to the facility, and we added some batting cages with some automated pitching machines and indoor turf space. Yep. And we renovated some of the old racquetball courts and converted them into basketball. It's half-court basketball or volleyball.
Nice.
Yes. And fun story about that space is the the floors in that space are the original racquetball court floors that we just refinished and reused. That's
cool.
I played
so
a
cool.
lot of racquetball on those courts and loved it.
I had the privilege before Chuck Miner passed away of walking him through the facility.
That's
And
awesome.
after we had done some of the initial renovations, and he walked through that space and was telling me stories after the flood and how those floors were bowed up from all the water, and it all dried out, went back in place. They survived the flood. So they have been there for a long time.
Yeah, they have. Chuck Miner, legendary in the health and fitness arena in the state of Mississippi. I grew up with Chris and Leanne at JA a long time ago. And yeah, that was our spot in the 80s and 90s. I mean, it was the coolest thing in the world. You walk in and get to do 47 different things, but moving around, which is what you need to do, and so many different options. So now they converted those courts to basketball and volleyball.
Yes. So trying to keep that same spirit alive there is that, we've got a lot there to offer. We still have the pool. We just renovated and expanded one of the weight rooms, and it's got a nice, cool, young vibe about it, with some new lighting and paint.
Nice.
And kind of improved. We have a glute room now that we're, going to be continuing to add some new equipment to that space. So, we're still a gym, but we've got all the extras there. So you can do baseball, softball, volleyball, basketball.
Because
soccer.
Connor's in there all the time.
So Connor is one of our, we kind of call him one of our babies there. So,
Connor Griffin.
Yes.
Okay. The 3 times I've been over there, this is when he wasn't with his team. He was working out there.
That's right. He would come in, especially once school was over, he would come in and just, it's what's funny about all the pro guys that we have come in there is they come in and they stay for 3 or 4 hours. It's just so we're going to go lift and we're going to hit. They may even go to the pool, sit in the sauna.
Yeah.
So
Ooh,
it's
sauna.
Yes.
I just got into that. I realized all the health benefits.
It does have a lot. Yes. So we have a infrared sauna in the men's and the women's locker room. So that's
I didn't know that. Burner didn't tell me that. He's keeping stuff from me.
And a recovery room that's separate from that. It has like Normatec boots in it, so you can get the compression. Yep.
Boy, that's become when I was growing up, you didn't do any recovery. You just worked out.
Right.
And now the big thing is, Mandy, since you've been in the business for a long time, is you want people to be active and work out, but rest and recovery is a big component now.
So important.
For our athletes at Ole Miss, Mississippi State, Southern Miss, and NFL, high school athletes getting into recovery, which the coaches that are on that train are smart. They're kind of on the front side of it.
Right. Yes. So that's certainly one of the components that's become more aware for everyone in recent years. I mean, when I was playing sports, in the late 90s and stuff, more is better. More is better. And that's really not the case.
Right.
Yeah.
Who was talking about that? Oh, Charles Huff, head football coach for Southern Miss. He was on the show last week, and he was talking about how important recovery was because they're wanting them to train all the time. But if you don't recover, like you said, it's almost like, the results are not going to be there.
And that's something else that we've added is we have a lot of strength testing equipment that can kind of help us determine how recovered an athlete is. And so we're really excited about, some new coaching additions that we've got coming and incorporating some new technologies in the facility that's really going to help our athletes get that next edge training.
That's awesome. We're visiting with Mandy Lynskey. She is with Grit Fitness and Training on Lakeland Drive. And as she mentioned, they've upgraded. They've renovated. They've added on to the facility. There's monthly memberships. There's indoor batting cages, pitching mound, indoor, outdoor turf, all at Grit Fitness and Training on Lakeland Drive, right there in the Ergon Mirror Lake area. Mandy Lynskey joins us on the Out of Bounds show, ESPN 105.9 The Zone. And y'all what are some of the classes that y'all offer?
So we offer classes from youth to adult. We have several different adult classes, obviously, that kind of coincide with our gym memberships. So ranging from very, beginner type, that's our TRX class, which is low impact, all the way up to some strength training classes.
Nice.
We have a ladies only barbell class that's becoming really popular. But then we also offer speed and agility all the way, 8-year-olds to 12-year-olds can come to our speed and agility class. And then
Jackson, you need to jump in that class.
Yep. That's where I need to start it at.
Yeah, you need to start at the 8 to 12-year-old. And what were you? Spin agility? What did you say?
Speed and agility.
Speed and agility.
But I like spin agility a lot too,
Yeah.
because I feel like I have that.
I think you have that too.
No doubt.
You had that on the basketball court.
All day.
Spin agility.
I love that. That's
Whatever in the
great.
hell that is. But she was talking
Great word.
speed and agility.
Yeah.
We're going to make them faster.
For 8 to 12-year-olds, which I bet is great. I'm sorry I interrupted you. What is your favorite class?
I think I like our sweat class the best. It is a mix between cardio and strength training, and we've got just a good group, a good community that comes to that class. But as a former athlete, I really like seeing the young athletes come in and kind of build in their own community.
Yeah,
and
like Connor.
Yeah,
Preston Johnson.
And that was one thing. So we had Jake Mangum and Cameron James and Kelm Clark that were coming in over the off season. And they weren't our only pro guys, but those three particularly would show up at the same time for each other. And it was the most special thing to see that community that's just formed there,
Sure.
organically. And that's what we want to see for every level, whether it's the adults, the pro athletes, the youth. That's what we want to see, showing up for each other.
You mentioned that you played sports. What sport did you play? Sports?
I was a swimmer mostly.
Oh, wow. Okay. Which you swam there?
So
right?
I swam on Mako's before it was at that facility.
Got it.
Then I swam at Delta State, and I ended up graduating from Mississippi State. But I did my swimming there. So
nice. All right. So what? How do I say this? Is it heat?
Yeah. Well, what kind of stroke was she doing? Like butterfly?
Yeah.
Back,
what
blah,
was?
blah, blah.
What did you special? What was your best? What am I trying to say?
I was a distance swimmer, and I also swam backstroke. What was my stroke? My specialty stroke was backstroke.
That's dope. When you say distance,
yeah, that's what I was going to ask.
Like,
how long would a competition heat be? Am I saying that right? I don't know swimming lingo.
So my races would be like the 800 meter or the mile would be.
What now?
How many laps is the 800 meter?
Well, it depends on if you're doing short course or long course. So if you're for our pool, it actually does both directions. So we do short course or long course. So for that, I'm having to do some fast math here. I haven't swam it in so long.
No, it's okay.
The 800 is
800.
Yeah.
Can you imagine you trying to do the 800 meter race?
Dude, let alone, I've been trying to fathom a mile. Like, what does that even look like, swimming a mile? How long does it take to swim a mile?
It's been a while. I don't even know anymore.
I like to just kind of float in the lake.
Yeah. So the average mile for you is going to be, what, 8 hours?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something like that. And Mandy took it to another level. She swam collegiately. And Delta State's had some unbelievable swimming teams over the years. Mandy Lynskey with Grit Fitness and Training on Lakeland Drive, Flowood. They've renovated the place. They turned the racquetball courts into volleyball and basketball courts. They've got indoor pitching mounds. They've got junior high, high school, college, minor league, major league baseball players coming through. And they also have indoor batting cages, indoor turf, a mound over there too, or two. And then they've got outdoor turf. And they've got monthly membership. So something else you can do is, if you drop off, like if your son or daughter's playing baseball or softball and they're in the batting cage for an hour, you can go get a workout in if you're a member. Absolutely. Like that's a win-win for a mom or dad.
And when kind of the vision for this facility, that was, as a mom myself, that was one of my visions, was like, you should be able to come in and let your child work on, whatever skills they're working on while you can go in, and some days that's sitting in the recovery boots for some of us moms. Like,
Yeah.
we just need that 30 minutes of, okay, let me get off my feet for a minute. And so, if that's what that is, maybe one day you're on the treadmill and one day you're in there just relaxing.
Yeah, those compression boots are awesome. And sauna, can't beat that. So you got a little bit of everything. It's an iconic building and fitness facility in Jackson Flowwood, which Mandy mentioned. Chuck Miner was the creator and owner of the courthouse for forever. The one on Lakeland Drive, Northeast Jackson. There may have been another location, but we're talking about Grit Fitness and Training Facility on Lakeland Drive in Flowwood. All right, so you mentioned your favorite workout, and do you still swim?
Sometimes, not as
Not
much
as mad at it.
Yeah. It's one of those things, especially in the summer. I'm out there a little bit more. I kind of get the itch to get back in the water. But I trained for triathlons for a lot of years, and I haven't done any of that for a while. So
Isn't that a goal of yours, Jackson, to train for a triathlon?
Yeah, for sure. I think I train for it every day.
Yeah.
I just need to run one now. Run, bike, swim. Isn't that what it is?
Mm-hmm.
Swim, bike, run.
How many
swim, bike, run? Yeah, whatever.
All right, walk me through what all you do in a triathlon.
Yeah, let me hear it.
So, well, it depends on the distance. They have different.
All right, well, give me one scenario.
So, the Ironman, which is like the pinnacle of
Right.
all triathlons, is a 2.4 mile swim, followed by a 112 mile bike,
Wow.
followed by a full marathon, which is a 26.2 mile run.
Yeah, quit.
All at the same time?
Not
At the
doing
same
Simulta-
time. Like,
I mean, not
they usually
simultaneous,
finish
but
after
frontal.
dark.
Who's doing that?
Holy, have
But
you
then
done
they
that?
have some. Yes, I've done.
You've
that.
done one of those?
I've done
For what?
2 of those.
You've
Oh
done
my
2 of the Ironman triathlons?
I have.
That would take me like 4 weeks.
Hell,
Hell, maybe more.
That take you 4 months.
Look, dude, to swim a mile, an Olympic swimmer swims a mile in like 17 minutes. That's crazy.
Really?
17 minutes. That is
I
nuts.
looked
All right, Mandy, where did owner, manager, Grit Fitness and Training Facility on Lakeland Drive, who did 2 Ironman triathlons, were they both here or somewhere else? Or
One was in Texas and one was in Florida.
Yeah, we're not dumb enough to do that here.
So yes, most of the ones around here are going to be much shorter.
Yeah.
So
okay, so there's abbreviated.
they have like sprint versions where
Gotcha.
you're doing
Nice.
maybe a 200-yard swim.
Okay, that's a lot better.
An 8-mile bike. And
Okay.
That's easy.
A 2-mile run.
Yeah.
So there's lots of variety in the different distances.
How difficult was that to swim? What'd you say? 2.7 miles, bike 112 miles, and then do the marathon at 26 miles.
I think it is more of a mental challenge than a physical challenge.
I beg to differ. No way.
It's.
Oh, I agree, but both.
Well, if you're in shape to do it, okay, yeah. Okay.
I mean, obviously, you wouldn't go from couch to that, but I mean,
want to see it?
you can suffer through a lot.
I feel like I
slow.
can get through it. What's the hardest part of it? Like is it biking, swimming, or running? I know running's the last.
For me
God.
personally, it's the bike.
Really?
And I think just because it's so long, and it
That's
hurts your rear end.
Yeah.
Yeah, like where do you
That's
get a bike to
long time
ride?
to be sitting on one of those little
I mean,
seats.
because men and women, they're only just wearing a little bit of spandex or something.
That's it. Yeah.
I mean, because they're doing
Wait, do
3
you-
different things. How long, not roughly, like what's, give or take, what's the average time to do an Ironman triathlon? How many hours?
8. Let me look.
I mean,
Yeah, look that up on chat. Mandy Lynskey with Grit Training, with Grit, what is it?
13.
13 hours? Is that what it roughly took you?
I can't remember. Everybody always asks me what my times are, and I just
No way you
those
can remember
things-
that.
Will you do another
I
one?
finished.
That's
You
all that
know?
matters.
Right.
Yeah, no, that's
God.
incredible. That's awesome.
But yeah, I hope to one day. I feel like both times I did it, I was fighting a few injuries, and I didn't really. I finished thinking it wasn't my best performance. I guess that's just the competitor inside of me, and so I'd like to finish one where I felt like that was really
Incredible.
everything I could do.
2.7 miles swimming, 112 miles on the bike, and then you run a marathon of 26 miles.
40% of the race is done on foot.
Good Lord. Okay.
I mean, I don't.
When was the last time you did one?
3 years ago.
Shut up. How do you train? Like, I mean, like, do you eat certain deals for it? Wait, also.
Oh God, yeah. How much is it like when the marathon runners come in town?
Like the way they fast and stuff?
And they load up on pasta the night before? Do you carb up or no?
I mean, a little bit. I try not to change my diet too much right before a race. I mean, you're obviously consuming more calories, but a lot of times people think, you do a cardio-based race like that and training for it, you're going to lose all kind of weight.
Right.
And when I quit training for Ironman and started just doing strength classes at Grit, I actually lost body fat and lost weight just because I wasn't growing any muscles. And so as I increased my muscle mass, I started metabolizing more. And then I ended up dropping weight just because of that, which was way less training, way less cardio. It's kind of mind-blowing, but that's how our bodies work.
And that's what you're hearing more and more about, that people need to lift weights.
Yes.
The right
especially
way.
as we get older.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Because people can, the deal for like decades was cardio. And now Mike Manning says the same thing with the men's clinic. He's like, you need to be lifting some kind of resistance training.
Yes.
And you agree with that too?
1,000. I won't ever, even if I train for another Ironman, I will not stop lifting weights.
Smart.
Because I've seen the benefits in so many ways.
Okay.
I got one more question about it.
All right. Well, we got about a minute or so.
Do you wear the same outfit all 3 races? Or do you get a wardrobe change?
Oh, I don't know.
You can change.
You can change. It takes away from your time, obviously.
Yes. So typically most people will stay in the same.
No, what? How do you pick what you're going to wear?
That's incredible because it's wet.
Yeah.
Then dry.
Bike.
And you're on a bike.
Ugh.
Yes.
I see where the mental thing comes in, and then you got to run 26 miles to wrap. Is that on the backside? Is that the last
thing? Mm-hmm. So it's the most dangerous sport to the least dangerous. So if you drown, if you're swimming, you're going to drown.
Yeah.
So that's the most dangerous.
That makes sense. Yeah. Okay.
Then,
you don't want to swim at the end.
Right.
What were you in? Like I've only got a minute. Were you in a lake or something?
Yeah. Like what?
Or is this in a pool?
No, it was in a lake for Texas, and then it was in the ocean for Florida.
You were in the ocean. That scared the hell out of me. You're pretty brave. Go see Mandy, Lynskey, and the team at Grit Fitness and Training. They've renovated the building. They've got so much to offer. You need to walk the facility. They have batting cages, indoor turf, pitching mounds, Connor Griffin, Jake Mangum, Preston Johnson, all these guys going through. They've got outdoor turf. They've got monthly memberships. Plus, you can book your team there for the batting cage, softball, baseball. Book your team today. Grit Fitness and Training on Lakeland Drive in Flowood. Mandy, thank you.
Thank you.
We appreciate you joining us today. I can't believe you did 2 Ironman triathlons and swam collegiately. That's so awesome. Y'all have done a great job. Congratulations. Go see Grit Fitness and Training today in Flowood on Lakeland Drive. And don't forget, this is an interesting segue. We've got an Elijah Craig bourbon tasting at Raggio Mercantile Shop tonight at 5.